If you're into music production, of course you're using a tool known as a DAW, or Digital Audio Workstation. And after spending a good chunk of time, you start to realize that some other DAWs have different offerings when it comes to workflows and tools to be used for a particular job. And as time goes on, you will start to develop some preferences when it comes to using a particular DAW for a particular feature. For example, let's say that you like Logic Pro 11 for producing music, but also you like to use Harrison Mixbus for mixing. Or let's say that you are working on a completely different DAW, let's say something similar to Machine, which is a fantastic tool to create music but is not necessarily speaking designed for mixing. Or in our case scenario, let's say that you are collaborating with different musicians across the world, or you are gonna be mixing somebody else's music. And chances are that you don't have access to the same plugins, or let alone you don't have access to the same DAW that you're working on. So exporting the files correctly, it's a must. Because I realized that the less cumbersome your workflow is, the better the music becomes. So I will be sharing with you how I export files from one DAW to another so I can mix them correctly. I will show you how I actually take advantage of the use of templates so I can get straight to mixing as soon as possible. And also you'll have a little bit of an insight of my file system, the one I use to keep track of all of the different sessions, projects and recordings that I work on in different DAWs inside of my Mac. So stay tuned because this is gonna be a juicy one. Here we go. Okay, so let's begin. In front of you, you got the project that I used in Logic to produce the track that I am gonna be working with. This is a production worked on and produced on its entirety on Machine. But I found a way to record the audio sources, the audio output of each of the different elements of my production, of my song, as audio tracks. If you want to see how I did it, there is a video somewhere on the screen in which you will see the entire process and including the routing. But for today, what we're going to be focusing on is on how to export the tracks correctly so I can have access to them for mixing purposes later on. So here we go. First, I'm going to go all the way down from kick to riser. So I will select only the channels that have audio inside of them, okay? From here, I'm going to go to File, and then I'm going to click on Export, but then I'm going to select 16 tracks as audio files. I'm going to click on it, and from here, I'm going to select the actual folder in which I'm going to be storing my stuff. In this case, I'm going to go for my favorites over here, and I got audio stems. In this folder, I store all of the different tracks that comprises any of the mixes that I'm going to be working on at that particular moment. I usually keep this folder filled with items no more than 30 days, okay? So from here, I'm going to create a new folder. This is going to be called Karma, because that's the name of the track. From here, I'm going to press create. And from here, I'm going to simply go here, turn off the normalization. This is very important because otherwise Logic will apply some form of compression to each of the tracks. Now, with that being done, I usually like to have the track number and the track name one after the other. And as you can see, it's giving me already the example that is going to be the output, the final output of the tracks. That will come in handy later on, you'll see. Once this is perfect, I select all of the different correct parameters and everything is correct. I will simply click on export. Okay, now that this is done, I'm gonna go over here to my desktop and I'm gonna create a new file, a new Finder window, and I'm gonna go to stems, audio stems, and where is it? Here it is, Karma. And yes, we got all of our tracks correctly represented. With that being done, I'm gonna simply close Logic and then I'm gonna be opening Luna. See you there. Welcome to Luna. This is clearly an empty project, but we're going to be using this bad boy for mixing this song. But before we do that, I will quickly explain to you how I organize my files in my computer for easy access and also to keeping everything quite organized and simple to keep track of what I'm doing, okay? Here we go. Over here in Finder, we got the folder in which we save all of the different files that are part of the mix. I'm going to simply go back to audio stems, and here we have it. But why am I showing you this? Easy. If I click on this widget over here, I will be able to open my Notes app. Yes, the one that is built in the Mac. And I use this app to keep track of every single detail of every single one of the mixes that I'm working on at the moment. And I even have access to the files themselves. So what I'm going to do is dragging and dropping the folder here where it says stem folder, and by doing so, I'm going to create a quick link so I can open the folder and access all of the files containing the folder through the Notes app. And as you can see, I have already the production and the recording files. The ones we have the Luna project, which is the one we're going to be using for mixing, I'm going to be adding in that as well. After doing that, I'm going to go to Luna and then I'm going to click on File and of course import the files that are going to be part of my mix. And I already have it set to take us straight to audio stems. And in here, we're going to be selecting Karma and I'm going to simply select every single one of these bad boys, okay? So here we go. And one of the great things about Luna, particularly this new version, it's that it comes with a very cool analyzing tool, which through the use of AI, will be able to detect what kind of element or what kind of musical element you're working with based on the sound characteristics of each. By doing so, you would be able to divide, and Luna will be intelligent enough to decide if you're dealing with drums, with basses, with all sorts of acoustic elements, and it will allow you to either rename them or apply some form of color or both. In this case, since they are correctly named already, I'm going to simply select color. There you got it. Now, every single one of my channels are now color-coded based on the content of the music itself, the sound characteristics of it. It's still a very early version, and you can see that some of them didn't change, not necessarily speaking correctly. For example, this guy over here, the kick, instead of being, well, a percussion, as I already told Luna that my percussions have to be yellow, it couldn't recognize this being a percussion. Why? It's still a very early version, but it's already good enough for jazz, and actually, that's a very useful tool. Now, here's the important one. Since I happen to be a huge advocate for hybrid systems, my mixing rig is comprised of actually the DAW and a good chunk of analog gear that I like to run my mixes through every single time. It's part of my sound and it's part of my workflow. Even to the point of me feeling nervous when there is something, when I'm not rocking the analog rig. I became so addicted to it, for real. And the issue is that as it is right now, none of the routing is correct. Everything is being summed up to the mains. And also, I don't want to be forced to create all of the buses containing my reverbs, delays, and parallel compression systems from the scratch, because I don't want to waste my time producing something that I already did before, because the way I see mixing is basically as a performance. The closer it is to just getting there, doing my job without any form of extra thinking, it's always welcomed. So I will be using a template to bring back all of the different routings, and including the connections between the analog rig and the internal connections for my buses and any form of parallel mixing features. Let me show you how. The way to do it is simply by going to File, then Import Session, and in this case, I'm going to be using Analog Summon. Here is what I use. This is my template in which I have all of the different routing already set and correctly aligned with my analog rig, but also includes all of the different outputs towards my buses. So first, I'm going to go all the way down here from music downwards, and I'm going to select them all. And then I'm going to go over here and select riser here, and then I'm gonna simply hover over here, and I'm gonna click on create new track. You can see that in the arrangement window or section of Luna, we got these new tracks, but they are covered by this kind of striped gray area or mask. This tells you that those are not there yet, but will be added once you finish the process. That's great. But now from here onwards, I will simply go for, I don't know, snare, for example, and I'm going to select snare, and then I'm going to simply click on match and see what happens. The track itself got this line, but also while at the same time, the audio content inside of it is still preserved, but you can see that the channel strip itself also changed. It already has all sorts of sends and even plugins inserted. And even if you check on the output, you'll see that it's already routed to a drums bus, which I haven't added, but I will add over here. If I click here and I select this guy, new track, bam, there is. But I don't like it there. So what I will do is simply put it and simply rearrange them correctly. From here onwards, it's just a matter of making sure that every single one of the channels that are part of your mix are matched with your template. So I'm going to do that, and I will see you once I'm done. Here we go. Sorry for interrupting, but if you're enjoying what you're watching, please help us by clicking on the like button underneath. It's the only way for YouTube to see that you're actually enjoying this content and help us to boost the channel a little bit further. Also consider subscribing to this channel because there's more content like this coming down your way. Let's continue with the video now. Now, after selecting all of the channels, you can see that we got some mismatches when it comes to mono and stereo sounds. This is due to the fact that even though we're dealing with sounds such as the example that is the kick drum, being a mono signal, machine for whatever reason outputs only as stereo pairs, which means that I will have to fix those issues manually after I import my settings. Now it's time to import the settings of my session. We can simply go here and click on import. The issue is that it will import everything that is being selected here. And you can see here that we already got audio and track versions. That's not what we want, because if it's on, all of the tracks that are selected will be replaced. The content of the track itself will be replaced by wherever comes loaded as part of the template. And since this is a template, there is no audio information. So I will avoid those. And it's time for me to just click import. And yes, here we go. So now let's take a look at the mixer just for us to confirm, and everything is properly presented to us now. Some of them, of course, because some of them have the mismatches, and those guys will have to be readdressed manually. So I will be doing that from here onwards. Once I'm done with it, I will show you the mix. Here we go. Okay, now we're back. My mix is finally ready to rock, because now I have every single one of my channels correctly aligned with my outputs on my whole hybrid system, but also all of my channels come loaded with the correct channel strip that allows me to have access to the SSL 360 environment over here. As you can see here, every single one of my channels are already color-coded and, of course, properly named and well represented in the SSL channel strip environment that is part of the 360. And also, this being Luna, the integration between the 360 software and Luna is fantastic. So I can actually run most of my mix through Luna, through 360 itself. I can send, I can control the sends, I can control the automation, and many more things through 360. So I got access to a fully featured SSL console in the most amazing fashion, based on software. Now, let's play some music and see if everything goes according to the plan. See you there. Great! Now it's time to rock and roll. So there you got it.